Hey guys, good morning. Springtime in Central Texas, USA. This is Rusty 78609 saying, hoo-wee, send my boots and saddle to the barn. My daddy used to say that all the time. Or not all the time, but whenever he was in a good mood or something went right or we had a good crop or whatever, he would say that. Well, anyway, I grew up on a farm in South Texas, Kennedy, Texas. We had a little farm about 3 miles out of town. That wasn't that small. We owned about 200 acres and leased about 1,000 for farming. Had a few cattle and different things, but did pretty good, not bad, But so we're going to talk about him. He was my dad was a good guy. I have to tell you, he was good company. He could be rough as a cob. He could be rough. I'll guarantee you. You didn't want to get crossways with my daddy, Leo Blaze, and Bill Scarborough in Kennedy, Texas. I'll guarantee you. And there was a few other hombres too that were pretty rough. But be that as it may, if he told me not to do something and I did it anyway, then I got punished. And it was instant. It wasn't, wait a week or, we'll see or something like that. No, it was immediate. What he would do is you had to go cut your own switch. I think I may have touched on this in another video some time ago. But yeah, you'd go out and cut a limb off a mesquite tree or a tree, and he'd look at it, and if it was suitable, then that was okay, but you couldn't cheat. It wasn't like you could get some little skinny limb that wasn't anything. You had to get the right whipping limb. And then he'd whip you on the back of the legs, around the thigh. Woo, dog. And it stung. It was like getting whipped with a bull whip or something. But you learn, you see, if back then, if they'd have had child protective services, my parents both would have been in jail, I'm sure. But he had a sense of humor. He was a crack shot with a pistol and a rifle. I guarantee you. With a .22 pistol, he could hit a coyote on the run at 50 yards. I've seen him do it. And I've also seen him shoot a goose about 200 yards away with a deer rifle and hit that goose in the head, or a goose. Now, whether it was an accident or not, I don't know. But he was a crack shot with a rifle. When he put the crosshairs on a target, it was dead. And but yeah, we'd go hunting every now and then. It was fun though. He didn't drink, didn't smoke. He smoked cigars for a while, and then he quit. And he drank beer too early on in his life, about like me. Up till he was probably, in his late 40s, he'd go out with guys and drink beer every now and then, but not often. I mean, he wasn't a bar fly or anything like that, but, some of the old guys would go somewhere and sit and have a few beers, and I remember we'd go out to a place called Baker's Park, and it was on the San Antonio River. Spend the night and fish, and they'd have ice chests, and they'd have a few beers in there, and they'd sit around and talk and drink beer. And I don't remember much of the conversation because I was too small, but he was a pill, man. He was a pill. He had a sense of humor. He really did. And unfortunately, my mother didn't appreciate it a whole lot. She was pretty stern because, see, she was the oldest child in her family of, I think, 8 or so. She was the oldest, and so a lot of the responsibility in their family fell on her, so she wasn't raised to have a sense of humor, and she didn't have much of a sense of humor at all. But Daddy did, because Daddy came from a family of 2 children, and he was the youngest, first boy or only boy, and so he was and they were pretty well-to-do. My grandparents on his side were pretty well-to-do, and so he came up kind of laughing at life. And then my mother and that family of 8, or actually 10, including the parents, they were poor. Her dad was around her. Her dad, old man Shaw, he was gone most of the time. He'd just show up every now and then and have another kid. And that was his story. But they didn't have much money, I remember that. But in fact, my grandmother did not want my dad to marry my mother. She didn't think she was good enough. But be that as it may, he did. Naturally, men did what they wanted to do. And he was amazingly a very good farmer. I mean, he was. I mean, a lot of the other farmers would come and talk to him. I remember asking questions, what he's going to plant, when he was going to plant, all that kind of stuff. Because Daddy would try different things. I mean, if nobody was planting wheat, he would. Of course, we had mainly flax, which was just a small little seed. You can buy them in the store now, flax seed. That's supposed to be a health food. But no, he would try things. And he became the general manager of a co-op gin they started in Kennedy, Texas back in the early 50s. And he did pretty good. He did that and still kept the farm. Of course, he had me and my brother to kind of take care of that. And we had this old Mexican man named Andreas that took care of the stuff, the hogs and stuff. So we managed all right. And but in reminiscing about him, I was thinking about him this morning while I was walking. I get a smile on my face because he'd just say, "Hoo-hoo-y, send my boots and saddle to the barn." Now, what that meant, I have no clue, but I can remember him saying that 1,000 times. And but anyway, he was stern. He was stern, boy. You didn't. In fact, my sisters, if my sister watches, they'll remember this. When they were dating, the guys would pull up in front of the house. We lived up on a hill in the country, and they'd pull up in front of the house, and Mother and Daddy lay there a while. And then after a few minutes, Daddy'd walk up there and then flip the porch light on and off, and that was like the 1 minute warning. I mean, yeah, he did. But anyway, that's the way we grew up. I mean, I just little taste of my past for the hell of it. And but yeah, he was also big in Boy Scouts. He got the Silver Beaver Award because he did all kind of stuff in Scouts. I mean, he spent a lot of time and effort starting Scouts in Kennedy, Texas, and got a Scout hut built. Well, not built. It was no building that they took over. Somebody donated it, and it became the quote Scout hut. And he would 2 weeks a year we went to Scout camp up at Indian Creek near Ingram, Texas, which is near Kerrville, Texas, which is near San Antonio, Texas, in the Texas Hill Country. And he would go and with the group, him and another guy would go to kind of keep the kids in order, because we had to live in tents for 2 weeks. Yep, sure did. We sure did, and start campfires, and of course we didn't have to cook our own meals, but we did have a outside shower, and we also, you had to, take care of your bunk and all that stuff, just like you're in the military, basically. But it was fun, a lot of fun, and of course they would sit around the campfire and tell stories, and then they'd show us how to tie knots, and make all kind of stuff with. They would give you this little plastic stuff, and you could weave it into different things, and they would show us how to do the weaving and stuff, and we got good at that. I enjoyed the hell out of it. I mean, I thought Scout Camp, I look forward to it every year. And but yeah, it was great. And then of course we had a big lunchroom. We'd go eat out, but my father was he was always joking and pulling pranks on the kids and stuff, and they all liked him as far as I could tell. But he didn't let any of them become he didn't like a mama's baby. He didn't like anybody whining. I remember that. But he wouldn't get mean or anything. He'd just pull them off to the side and talk to them and say, "Look, son, you're gonna have to be a young man out here. You ain't home here. And there wasn't any going home, so to speak, from Scout Camp. You were in for the duration." But I enjoyed it. I enjoyed being around him when I was a kid. I think he was rough on my older brother, though. He was real rough on him. I never understood why. I did not understand why. But he was tough on my older brother. And of course had two sisters. Mother took care of the girls pretty much, and Daddy took care of the boys. And, you know, the girls helped mother on the inside and around the house. And then my brother and I, of course, we were stuck outside feeding hogs and driving tractors and combines and all that stuff. But I can remember in the kitchen sometimes Mother'd be busy fixing a meal because, you know, she fixed 3 full meals every day. You got me? Seven days a week. There were no TV dinners. No, we had a full breakfast. We had breakfast, dinner, and supper. There was and all of them were full deal meals. You know, except when we were in school. During the school year, of course, we ate at the lunchroom, or most of the time we took a little lunch sack that'd have a sandwich or something in it. And you know, it was their typical rural poor life. We didn't know we were poor. Mother made my clothes, and I think she made most of the girls' dresses and stuff, or she made some of them. And but it was a good life. I mean, you know, I enjoyed the hell. We were free as birds, man. You know, they didn't put a lot of restrictions on us. You know, Daddy just say, you know, use good judgment, whatever that was. And I wasn't even sure what it was. I had a good idea, but you know, he would say that, and then we were free to go wherever. You know, I don't remember at any time my father ever calling me aside and saying, you know, don't be out past 10 or 11 or 12 ever. Or, you know, if you go to the dance halls, don't be drinking that old nasty beer or anything like that. Never. Never. Now, he didn't like cigarette smoking, though. He did not like that. And I may have told this story before in other videos, but I bought me I snuck around and smoked. I did. I mean, I'd smoke maybe 2 or 3 cigarettes a day just to be macho because other boys my age were doing it. But anyway, I bought me a rolling machine, a bugler. It was $2. You got the rolling machine. It was just a little manual thing. It was about a foot. No, it wasn't even that long. It was about 10 inches long, maybe 3 or 4 inches wide, about the width of a cigarette. And you put the roll. I used gum paper, though. I remember that. You put the paper in, put the back in, and then you crank it, and then there was a perfectly rolled cigarette, and then you lick that paper and stick it, and you had a perfect cigarette. And it was bugler tobacco. And that stuff was so strong that you could blow a smoke ring and hear it hit the wall. Tell it would make a noise when it hit the wall. That's how heavy that smoke was. And anyway, but I hid that rolling machine up in the hayloft of the barn. We had a 2-level barn, and the second level was full of hay for the cattle, for our cows. And man, I'd go up there and I'd sit where I could see out the front of the barn. So if Daddy came out there, I'd see him in time to hide my stuff. See. Well, anyway, and my daddy was like an Indian, man. I mean, I swear he was part ghost because he would just appear, you know what I mean, at the worst moment. And anyway, I was up in the barn one day and I was cranking away, man, and I'd look outside and I'd crank some more, and I'd look and crank. Well, anyway, about 3 feet from where I was cranking was where the little stairway came up to the second floor. It wasn't a slanted stairway. It was just some boards nailed to the wall, and you came up hand over hand up that little ladder on the side of the wall up into the hayloft. I was about 2 feet from that and about 6 feet from the front where you could see out. And anyway, I was trying to watch both openings because he'd just show up, and sure enough, boy, there I was cranking away, and his head stuck right up, right there at the stairway. I thought, damn, I said, I'm dead, I'm totally dead. And he looked at me, and when there was a certain look that he could give you that you knew that the Grim Reaper was just around the corner. In other words, you knew that you had done something wrong. Anyway, he looked at me and he said, son, he said, what are you doing? And I had this brilliant remark. I'll never forget it. It never came out of my mouth again. I said, what does it look like I'm doing? When I said that, a fist hit me in the jaw and I slid about 5 feet right up against that wall. He climbed up there, he got that rolling machine, And he may have kept it for all I know, or give it to somebody, but I never saw it again. And anyway, he didn't say another word, though. He did not say another word. He didn't say, well, you cut you a switch or do anything like that. I guess he felt that left or the right to the jaw was enough. And anyway, that's another thing. He never said another word about it. Not one word. Nothing was ever said. He didn't say, don't smoke, don't use that damn rolling machine, don't be buying a rolling machine. He never said another word. But you know what? He never caught me smoking again either. He never caught me rolling a cigarette again either, because I wouldn't do it within 3 miles of the house. And another thing, see, they could smell smoke on your clothes. Both my parents could. So if I was in the car and I smoked a cigarette, I'd go in the house and Daddy'd say, "You've been smoking, hadn't you?" Well, you couldn't lie, so there you were, dead again, And so then I came up with this good story. I say, well, I picked up old Dave, you know him. And he said, yeah. I said, well, he was in the car and he was smoking a cigarette. Well, see, then I got by with it because it wasn't me. And a lot of the young boys back then smoked. My parents knew it. They didn't like it, but they knew it. So I could get by with saying, oh, that was old so-and-so, or that was old Paul, or whoever, they're smoking in the car, which may have been true. I don't know, because guys would just jump in and light up, and, and me too. But we didn't smoke much. I mean, some of them may have. I didn't. I mean, I'd smoke 2 or 3, 4 cigarettes a day just to be cute. And carrying the cigarettes was the whole deal. You had them rolled up in your sleeve or in your sock, somewhere macho, so all the girls could see you walking around with the damn cigarettes. And I'm sure they were very impressed, but I thought they were. That meant a lot to me for them to see me with a pack of them. Well, hell, I smoked Lucky Strikes, Camels. And then I went to Winston, yeah, because they had filters. Camels and Lucky Strikes didn't have a filter, and so I thought that was cool to have a filter. I mean, I didn't care about my health because I didn't know anything about that. Didn't even care. Nobody ever said a word about it. So anyway, we lived a normal life like most kids do, and it's amazing when I think about the things my daddy used to do. I had a motor scooter. I got me a Cushman Eagle when I was about, 12 years old, I guess. It was 8 horsepower. Boy, it was the most beautiful machine, but I'm not going to talk about that. But when I came home from school, I would park that scooter right in front of the house and go inside. And mother always had some kind of snack. She'd have cookies or some kind of snack. I'm telling you, that woman was, bless her heart, she took care of us kids better than any woman could have, I believe. Anyhow, because we ate good. Anyway, I'd go in and get a snack and, want to change clothes or something. And then I'd hear that motor scooter crank up and my daddy'd take off on it. That used to aggravate me to death. Because when he took off on it, you never knew how long he was going to be gone. He might be gone 30 minutes or 3 hours, And he never asked. But if there wasn't anything going on in the field, he'd be around the house somewhere, and he knew what time I got home on that scooter because I had to go feed the hogs at a certain time. He'd just jump on that scooter and go, and he'd come back, he'd just laugh. I said, Daddy, why don't you ask? He said, well, I will next time. He never did. He never did. Oh, man, we used to laugh. He used to play pranks on the kids all the time, me particularly, I guess me and my brother too. And you had to be careful because some of them may not be too funny. He may take a damn rattlesnake and pull the fangs out with a pair of pliers and throw that thing at you. Would that get your attention? You bet it would. Scare you into about 4 years alive. Or a snake of any kind. He'd pick up a grass snake and, even though they're harmless, well, you don't know what kind of snake it is when somebody just chunks it at you. It's just a snake in the air coming right at you. But yeah, he was a rounder though. All the kids in the family, as far as I know, liked him. And I think my mother liked him, even though he aggravated the crap out of her some of the time. I know it's yellow, but it ain't gonna be red till I get through. Anyway, that's enough of that. But it is fun to reminisce about some of the times growing up in South Texas and how it was. My daddy had I think it was a 47 Dodge pickup, floor shift. And I used to get to drive. He'd let me drive that. See, he would let us live free. You know what I mean? He'd let me drive that truck pickup into town. I had to put 2 pillows in the seat and stretch my leg just as far as I could to reach that starter, which was on the floor right by the gas pedal, and you had to hit them both at the same time to get it started. And then I would it was all standard shift, manual transmission. I'd take great pride in shifting those gears and not grinding them. You know what I mean? And but anyway, some of this stuff I'm probably duplicating from other videos, but it was a good life. And maybe that's why I'm still in a good mood today. Anyway, I'm gonna go here to the post office and let the moth out. Let him go get him something to eat, and I'll end the video. What else can I think about? Not a whole lot. We used to go. They put a highway through our property, and in payment, it wasn't a highway. It was a gas pipeline. I can't remember the name of the gas company, but they put a pipeline across our property. And instead of getting paid in cash, Daddy said, well, y'all have that big old deer lease down there at George West. Why don't y'all just let us come down there to your place about 2 weeks a year, and we'll call it square. And so they did. And we did. Every year we'd pack up and go down there and set up a big, huge tent, because there was 4 or 5 men, 2 or 3 young guys, me and a couple of other kids. And and we cooked. They had a big old stove in the center, and it'd be cold and rainy and whatever, like it is now, sort of. But we had a good life, and I'd go hunting. Daddy would just point me in a direction. He'd say, "Son, we're gonna be the hunters are gonna be out this way. So if you and your brother and whoever want to do anything, y'all go out that way." And they did. They were good hunters, though. They looked beyond the target, so to speak. They were skilled hunters. They didn't just shoot at anything that moved, and because a lot of hunters did. But my dad's group, boy, they were pros, and they walked. They put their rifle on their shoulder with a strap and walked. There were no riding somewhere. And if they killed a deer, what they would do is they would, if there was a tree around, they'd string it up in a tree high enough where the coyotes couldn't get to it, and they'd go ahead and field dress it, and then walk back to camp. And then when somebody'd go out there in a Jeep or pickup and get close as they could, and then pick up that animal and bring it in for the final cut up, because they did it all right there in camp. Man, I've seen many a deer drawn and quartered by those guys, and skinned and so forth, and they were good at it. So when we got back home, all we had to do was grind the meat, mix it up with some pork that we had, because we raised hogs, and we'd have pork and venison sausage, and boy, that was delicious. And enough said, I better shut up. Anyway, guys, I'm thumbs up, carpe diem, adios, bye-bye, enjoy your day. Drink plenty of water. 3 or 4 quarts a day won't hurt you. What else? Take deep breaths. Breathe in deep, hold it for a few seconds, and then breathe out slowly. That relieves stress, and that'll help lower your blood pressure, and that's good for you. What else? Stretch, walk. I've already done my stretching and walking this morning. I feel pretty good. And what else? Stand guard at the door of your mind. I'm not kidding you. I'm serious about that. Don't let people come up and dump crap in your brain. It's yours. It's yours. And so take pride in keeping it clean. All right. So anyway, having said that, just reminiscing. This is old Rusty 78609 saying adios, amigos. Bye bye.